Good afternoon, good evening. It is right now 5 o'clock Tuesday, January 24th, 2012. I'm coming to you recorded live from my squalorly one-bedroom apartment, just like that one motivational speaker, I suppose. This is the inaugural broadcast recording of Flashpoint Radio. My name is Jay Zwirstich. Easier to go by Jay-Z, so I like to say I'm the real Jay-Z. Flashpoint Radio is the title that I decided to go with for whatever it is this will become, simply because that's what I'm looking for, is a flashpoint. That's what everyone should be looking for when you prepare in your life for what may come. You always have to look for the flashpoint that sets the fires. Revolutions always start somewhere. Trouble always starts somewhere. If you know how to look for it, and if you know how to spot it, you can prepare. I got my co-stars, Sunny and Rosie, playing in the background, but if you know how to look for current events, and if you know how to look for the flashpoint, you can be better prepared to survive and help others. So, I thought I might go over current events, things that are going on in the world, economics, philosophy, just anything that might be off of your radar screen that I can bring to the forefront, just to get it in your head, because G.I. Joe was right, knowing is half the battle. If you don't do any preparations for what's coming, as long as you've heard me and give me a chance and don't dismiss the things that I say, and you look for yourself. I mean, I'm not the only one out here saying it. I'm getting in on this late in the game, so to speak. But let's get right into it. Looking at the current flashpoint I've got on my radar, which I'm sure is on a lot of yours, is Iran. If you're a conservative and you're following the presidential race, primary race, you know what you think you know about Iran, and you have your preconceived notions about Iran, and you've probably already made up your mind. I'd like to show you what's actually happening, not conjecture, not opinion, but the things that are actually happening. As you know, Iran is a theocratic nation. One thing that you always have to remember is Iran has been overthrown twice behind the forces of Western nations. British and the United States worked to overthrow the Shah in 1952, and then we also overthrew, it was Mossadegh that got overthrown in 52, and we put the Shah in power, and then we worked to overthrow the Shah in 1979, which led to the current regime, which is run by the Ayatollahs, the mullahs, President Ahmadinejad, who I am no fan of by any means, but I'm not a fan of a lot of people that I listen to. So, we've got the European Union, the diplomats in Brussels, EU foreign ministers adopted a measure on Monday, yesterday. The measures include an immediate embargo on new contracts for crude oil and petroleum products, while existing ones are allowed to run until July. So basically the European Union, all of the nations belonging to it, including Great Britain, who is a member economically, every nation is prohibited from entering into contract involving oil with Iran. new contracts effective immediately, and anyone who's currently trading, which there are a number of countries that do trade with Iran, cannot do so after July. I suppose it's all based on whether or not they can get Iran to the table and have some sort of agreement to alleviate the stress between nations. But yeah, so basically this is an embargo, which in the past has always been considered an act of war, at least by those being embargoed. We cut off fuel supply to Japan shortly before they attacked us at Pearl Harbor. But the Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, William Hague, he said the EU embargo was part of peaceful and legitimate measures and not designed to trigger conflict. Sanctions and embargoes almost always trigger conflict because they're just that. They prevent a country from doing something that they normally would do. If someone said that you couldn't drive your car to work for a month, you'd be upset and you'd force them to give you a reason and you'd fight it. And of course, Iran has stated that they'll block the Strait of Hormuz if this happens, which it just did. And Mr. Hague warned that blocking of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran would be illegal and unsuccessful. Illegal in the eyes of the European Union, who does not own the Strait of Hormuz, neither does Iran. It's just that it happens to be geologically very beneficial to Iran, and it is the way that I believe 40% of global oil supply flows through the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran has the greatest opportunity to affect that small passage for trade. So they've applied sanctions, an embargo. This is the Telegraph, UK Telegraph. At the same time, we've got the Telegraph also reporting that British, US, and France has sent warships through the Strait of Hormuz, led by a 100,000-ton aircraft carrier in what they're calling drills. No doubt it's some sort of strong-arm tactic, rattling of the sabers to intimidate Iran, but I could pull up the reports about Iran's nuclear facilities and military facilities being bombed, mysteriously exploding over the last 6 months, and clearly it being the work of foreign agents in their country, or foreign influence in their country, and they've done nothing. They're from my perspective, Iran is doing everything to avoid confrontation, because they know they can't win that confrontation. And so this is the response from Iran, that it will definitely close the Strait of Hormuz. This came out January 23rd, which was yesterday, same day. If they impose an oil embargo, they would definitely close the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran, from their perspective, considers an oil embargo an act of aggression, an act of war. Their response is closing the Strait of Hormuz, which from their perspective is a completely logical thing to do. From our perspective, closing the Strait of Hormuz becomes an act of aggression and illegal, requiring intervention. It really does to me sound like we're headed for direct conflict involving NATO and various European countries, and no doubt the United States in some sort of conflict with Iran. I think if there was ever a time for diplomacy and talking about it, it's now. I don't think our country can afford inflated oil prices above what they are now. That's the lead into my next story. This is from CNS News. A report on gasoline prices. December, they were at an average of $3.28 a gallon, which is an 83% increase from January of 2009. When Barack Obama was elected, actually, when he took office, in January of 2009, gasoline was $1.79. It hit an actual high during the Obama administration at $3.93 in May 2011, which is still not as high as the 10-year high of $4.09 in July of 2008, which was when George W. Bush was president. So our country, which I don't believe, and I don't think you should believe that we're in any type of recovery and heading in the right direction at all. Our country is dealing with near record high gasoline prices, and this is without a world conflict, a Middle East conflict that would affect oil supply. So I think if there was ever a time to listen to a candidate like Ron Paul and talk, not talk like Barack Obama wants to talk, but actually talk, and use perspective and point of view when discussing things, I think it's now. We're headed for some crazy times. Our economy and our society here is hanging on the brink. We're on the edge, the precipice of massive change, and it's coming one way or another. The difference is, do we fall off the cliff or do we rise to greatness? It's Renaissance or Dark Ages we're facing. And we need to prepare ourselves, our families, our communities to deal with this mentally. But first we have to see the world and see everything through reality glasses. Put on your reality sunglasses, people. This is not a joke. This is real. Just view the world in its entirety and don't fool yourself. This is real. All of these things are happening. You may not want to hear something, and it may come from a source that you're not used to listening to. But listen to all sources these days. Please don't write anyone off. Listen and then check for it on your own. We're in a day and age where information flows so freely that you can check the news in real time. So you can double check what people write in real time and make up your own mind. Watch events, watch the news, watch the events happen. Don't read the pundits. Don't read what they're saying. Make up your own mind. Please make up your own mind. And think about if you're prepared and if your family's prepared in case something happens. Simple things like food, water, heat, escape from natural disasters or social unrest. Start somewhere, start small. We'll deal with that going forward. But right now on my radar screen, the most obvious flashpoint is the Iran situation in the Middle East. We'll delve more into that. I'm going to record tomorrow. I'm going to get into Israel and Iran and some of the craziness and the ways we're distorting our relationship with Israel. Stay with me. This is inaugural. This will get better. I want to keep it short just to keep you informed. God bless and stay vigilant and stay aware, people. Wake up.